Lesson 2 covers basic photo corrections. So we're going to look at image resolution. We're going to fix this photo. We're going to take a couple of little weird artifacts out of it and make it look good as new. A lot of you, like me, probably have a ton of family photos. So hopefully with this, you're able to restore some. Photoshop has some great features now that we did not have years ago, especially when I was learning how to use it. So it makes it really, really easy to be able to fix any blemishes and things like that are in photos, especially old photos that might have creases and rips. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is your o2 start.tiff file. In the folder, you also have your o2n file that will show you what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly save this one, right, as o2 working. And then I am going to ensure that this is a Photoshop file, and I'm going to hit save, right? Okay, so here's the image, family looking out over this river. There's a couple of ways that you want to edit something and be able to go in what works best for your image. For those who have ever been in a darkroom, you would make your test print with your negatives. You'd kind of take a look at what your exposure was like, and then you'd go back in and do another print upon a print upon a print, fixing things each time. Right now, you get to do it right here. Sometimes it takes a certain order of operations. Sharpening is going to be last. That way you know that you're once you're done and you're set and you don't have any other edits, you kind of finish that post-production work. But straightening, that can always be the first thing. Color correction, and that's what we're going to do here. And also making sure that it's sized correctly for printing. There's a huge difference between whenever you have a small file, a thumbnail. Some of you might have saved it once, tried to take a screenshot of something, and it looks completely different than what it would look like if it was actually a high resolution file. But this image needs straightening. It needs tone and color corrections, and a little bit of retouching, and so we're going to change it to 300 ppi, which is pixels per inch. We've got our status bar, all these things we're going to look at. So let's take a look down at the bottom, if you remember. So down here, we're at 100%. It says 2,160 pixels by 2,160 pixels at 240 ppi. So I'm going to go ahead and change the measurement to inches from pixels. So we're going to go to View up here, boop, and we're going to go to Rulers right there. So you're going to see that here. See how these are all measured? We're going to change that. So we're going to double click the ruler and it'll open up units and rulers, okay? So see that? Units and rulers. So we're going to change our ruler to inches, okay? And then we're going to be all right with that. Okay, so there, now you get your rulers. We're going to start by using this crop tool. You're going to start with a crop tool, all right? So in the tools panel, your crop tool right over here. There it is. We're going to choose width by height by resolution. So if we click here, see these things here? We're already on width by height by resolution. If you ever need assistance, you can go ahead and use the presets that are on the side. You can also change it manually over on this side too. So we've got width, height, resolution. In the option bar, we're going to type a 7-inch in both the width and the height, obviously because it's square. So let's take a look here. We're going to clear this because I was making reels earlier. You can see the preset will change, right? And we're going to go to 7 inches by 7 inches. It'll change as we go. And we are going to want to make this 300, okay? And then we're going to hit enter on there. So we're good. Now we're going to straighten it. So normally I just jump right into it and I start moving it around with these edges. But you're going to click the straighten icon that's in the option bar. See right here? Okay, so you've got that. And then we are going to use this now straightening tool. We're going to put it at the left corner of the image where the sky is ending. So we're going to go right here and we're going to drag along this line. Okay, and that has straightened it out. We are then going to crop down. Then I'm going to use my shift and my up and down arrow to be able to try to stay. And if you have a little bit more, just do it a little bit more. See if we can keep it there. Great. Now let's go ahead and check down below. You are still at your 7 by 7 by 300. So it's kept its proportions, right? So now we can move forward with our piece. We're going to go to File and we're going to hit Save. You can also hit Command S. That has saved our working file. All right, so a little bit about image sizes and resolutions. When you're working with vendors, like for example, if you've been to our locations, we have all kinds of murals and wall art and designs that are everywhere. And believe me, it can be incredibly frustrating trying to get your photos or your digital art that's maybe not a vector to size appropriately on a wall. So take a look at page 48 and 49. Read through that. It talks about pixels and how many pixels are an image and the mathematics behind it, which you multiply the width and the height of an image in pixels. So for this one, so say this was 2100 by 2100 pixels, that's 4,410,000 pixels or 4.41 megapixels, right? And then configuring what the image resolution size is, you divide an image's width or height in pixels by its number of inches. So 2100 times 2100 pixels. In this lesson, at 7 inches wide, the dimensions 2100 pixels divided by 7 inches or 300 pixels per inch, right? It's everything in here will come into play. So yay math. So we're going to now correct the tone and color. Curves and levels are in here. They look very particular, but trust me, you'll be flinging the little bar around in no time. All right, we've got our 7x7. It's been cropped. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the adjustments panel. All right, you're going to go down to the single adjustments that are right down here, right? These all fall underneath that. And we are going to click on curves, right? And so here it is. This will add a layer, as you can see down here, for curves, and it'll be in the properties panel right here. So the white point tool, that is pretty much a place that can find a neutral white, and it will shift all others tones according to what you select, right? So we're going to take a look at a white stripe on the girl's dress. So if you have to take a look or zoom in, remember you can always use your zoom tool. Sorry, I shifted over here. You can always use your zoom tool. You can always, if you're on a Mac, Command plus, that zooms you in. You can also just use your zoom here. So we're going to go ahead and select a place right here. See how that changes everything? Let me go ahead and show you again. I'm going to do undo and say we select a part on her dress. Changes everything. Now if you select something else, you can see how that completely blows it out, because that's equivalent to taking a image that's blown out, like they mention a sun or a lamp, right? But if we go to something that's white, there it is. That kind of auto corrects that piece. So then we're going to go use our levels adjustment layer to refine that range. All right, so in that adjustments panel, you can click right here. We're going to go right down to levels, which is right here. Okay, that adds a levels layer. And so for the curves and levels, there's your histogram, right? So you got it here, and you also have it on this one too. You can see how it changes. So the left triangle under the histogram down here, okay, if you can see it, that one is, that will set the black point. So anything that you want to set as the darkest part of the image. The right one is the white, and in the middle, that's your midtones, your neutral. So we're going to take the left triangle and we are going to move that to 15. Okay, you're going to see how that's changing. So we've drug it to 15, little change. You can see. Okay, 15. And then we are going to drag the middle to 0.90. See how that's changing there? Let's go right here. Excellent. And then we are going to take a look at those two. That's fine. We're going to flatten the image. I mentioned this before about what happens when you flatten it. I want to show you. These will disappear. It'll become one image. It takes your adjustment layers that typically are non-destructive, and it's going to make it become part of that image, right? So you'll go to layer and you'll go to flatten. There it is. Like that's it. Now just an FYI, you've got your history up here. If you ever have to move back, if you feel like you made an accident and you haven't been able to undo, you can go back and see how your items pop back up as you create. You can always mark this space like you want if you ever want to come back to it, but this will be a sample if you ever use clone or something. So I'm going to turn it off right now, but that is your image flattened with your last step that you have on your background layer. So then we're gonna clean some things up, right? We are going to take a look to the image and see what little discrepancies we have. We've got this guy right here, this little hair or a line. We've got this crease going all the way down, a couple of issues on this side too. We can also correct a few blemishes that are on here without any issue. So you'll be using the remove tool to do this. The remove tool and the generative fill, these are all new things recently added to Photoshop. Before it was a clone tool, looked pretty rough. You did a couple of selections and drags, but with your remove tool, that's going to solve a lot of issues for you. So let's take a look. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of this that keeps wanting me to crop. Whoops-a-daisy. I'm at 160%. I'd like to be at 100, so I'm typing in 100 and there I'm back. So we are going to go to the top half and we are going to then go to our tools panel and click and hold the mouse button on the spot healing brush, and it will reveal other retouching tools in its group, right? And that's where we'll find the remove tool. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. We're going to go right over here to our spot healing brush and we're going to click and hold, and that's where you got everything else. So here's our remove tool, right? Bum, bum, bum. So as you can see, use it like a brush. You're just going to brush it on. So we're going to change the brush size to 25 pixels. Okay, so we're going to go here. I'm just going to hit 25. And then remove after each stroke needs to be selected. Okay, cool. So let's get started. We are going to position it at the top of the crease of the image and we're going to drag it down along that crease in the sky, and we're going to stop just before the bridge. If you are having a tough time with this, like it says, you can do this in a couple of smaller strokes, but each one will be magenta, and then when you release the mouse, the remove tool repairs it, right? So we're going to do this. Let me see if I can do it in one to the bridge, and let's take a look. There it is. It's starting to change color. It's showing you what you're repairing. I'm trying my best to stay sharp on this thing. We're going to go all the way down. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go to the bridge. Okay, I let go and there it is. Let's take a look. That's what was there. That's what's there now. It's pretty awesome. Before you used to like have to right click and clone something and then you're like, oh, that cloud looks weird and yada, yada, yada. So for those of you who might have to use multiple strokes, the remove tool is less effective at using the crease in the bridge. Painting it kind of makes the remove tool think that the unpasted crease is a feature and needs to be preserved. So let's see how it goes. So let's see if we can do this like this, making it a little bit easier for you. I'm going to go upwards. If you have to go back and you feel like you missed a spot, you can cover it. We can be a little messy too. It really is a pretty amazing tool. Go all the way up. Look at that. It's crazy. So that's what it looked like before. And there's like barely any subtleties. Like I can only kind of think that this is different. It's just wild. So that's done. Let's go take a look up here, right? Remember this guy? We're going to draw a little fun. Woo! And there it goes. Now it's gone. So there's a little bit of dust and dirt. Some of these was actually my computer screen. So I'm just going to click and get rid of that. See, that was actually my screen. I had a little dot there. So I'm going to do these. You can even go like that if you want to. Yeah, so far looks just part of the brick. So we are going to now have to edit out an entire person. That boy, Ryan here, is not part of this family. So we're going to change our brush to 100. Okay, there we are. We can totally see him. We can see the entire kid. We can even zoom in closer if we need to. But we're going to drag it to paint over this poor kid. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, because it's such a large area, it may become difficult. In previous classes, when I taught this lesson, we would just crop him out. So remember, we have to get his shadow that's here as well. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so there we go. Here he goes. So it's a little rough, but what we're going to do is we're going to paint over any imperfections, and then we are going to use the remove tool again and kind of do it a little bit differently. So we're going to try a different method called generative fill, right? And this is where it just wows me every single time. Okay, so it left a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and undo, all right? We're going to use generative fill. It's crazy, right? And then we're going to save. Okay, so the remove tool, like I said, and generative, they're new. And it's this machine learning thing, and I was super hesitant to start using it because it's like bringing this crazy amount of AI, but it also feels like it's taking all the stuff that I learned and throwing it away. So it was really interesting to see it in the book this year. So you can make new objects, you can make new scenes. It gives you options. It's pretty cool. So the generative fill will absolutely be able to remove the boy that's in this. So let's go ahead and take a look. We are going to go up to Object Selection Tool. All right, so we're going to go to our Tools panel, and we are going to go right over here, and we are going to hover right here and select the Object Selection Tool, okay? And then that will automatically detect an object, and we will go here. Ooh, look at that. Let me zoom out so you can see it all. Okay. It selects similar pieces to it. Look at that. So we're going to go, yeah, it's got the girl. Misses her shirt a little. This kid. Let's go ahead and find him, right? So it automatically has this magenta highlight around him. It does not have all of his shadow. You can see it there, but we will go ahead and move this. So we're going to drag the object selection tool to draw a rectangle around him, right? So we're not just going to click. We're going to go like this. Do we get it all? Oh, I almost got the tip of the shadow. Let's see if it picks it up. Okay, it did. So little context bar is down here, and we're going to click generative fill. All right. Now, I could say put a palm tree here, or, you know, put a stuffed animal, which I'm very tempted to do right now, but I'll save that for when we use more generative fill. But if you just want to replace this space, just hit generate. You won't need it to have anything specific. So it's changing. It's going to do a fill, and it's going to put a display field. It's going to be giving you some ideas, and there it is. Now, you can add a prompt, or if you, for some reason, are not pleased with what this is, it does start off with giving you 3 variations, and you can click to see the slight similarities between them. So this one kind of looks like you did copy paste a bunch of stuff right there, especially right in this area. Let's take a look. But also you got to look down here at this stone. There, it looks a little bit different, the color, but the green is a little bit better. Now, I'm kind of privy to leaning towards this direction, but I don't like what it did to the windows. I actually do like the third option, so I think I might go with that one. So, you know, if you're on an older computer, that progress bar will take a lot longer. So we're going to choose this one, and you can see that it makes your generative fill here. And then this right here, it's a mask. You'll learn more about that, but it pretty much covers it up. So if you take a look here, like there's the boy, and there he's gone because of this layer. Select the one you think is best on how the buildings look and the bridge wall. And if you don't like any, click generate again, and it will give you another few options. It was really frustrating long ago trying to do this. It looked really rough if you didn't sit and work on it for so long, because you had to clone and copy pieces over, and it was really time consuming. So while I absolutely adore that this is an option, it does feel kind of frustrating to have worked so hard to learn the other way, and then now it's like, boop, done. But you know what? Good for you guys. So the next part we're going to do is sharpening. So I usually, for any of you who have ever done sessions or photo editing or even been to somebody, the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to check all of your color corrections. We're going to check all your rotations and make sure that everything's straight. And I like to make sure my lines are straight, even though it's very trendy to be kind of crooked. And then we sharpen and package for print and for web. So you're going to choose layer up here, and you're going to go to flatten image. I just told you guys not to, but here we are. You're going to flatten that image. Then we are going to go up to filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. Okay, so let's look up here. Let's turn that off. Filter, down to sharpen, smart sharpen. Okay, there's that. So I'm going to give you the settings. You can have the preview selected, which you can always turn it on or off right here. It'll either let you see it or not. It also gives you a very, very zoomed in version so you can kind of see more of the details. So we're going to make sure our preview is selected. Then we are going to kind of do this to see what area we want to look at. You can always zoom in, zoom out, but it'll allow you to see a little bit more of the detail there. We are going to make sure that lens blur is selected. Ooh, look at that. So lens blur, Gaussian blur, motion blur. Lens blur is good for general sharpening. Gaussian blur is similar to, there used to be a feature called unsharp mask filter. When we had the update for 2024, I nearly cried because it's one of the ones I use all the time for session work. And when it was gone, I had to almost kind of relearn it. So that's what the Gaussian blur allows. And then motion blur helps to reduce streaks from the camera moving or the subject moving in a direction when the photo was taken. When you see people photograph action, you know, they typically are moving with that person so that the background is blurred or everything around the subject is blurred, but the subject's in focus. So here it tries to compensate for any movement. So we are going to do what it said, and we are going to leave lens blur. Okay. And then we're going to drag that amount of sharpening to 100. So I probably have mine all super crazy. So we're going to make our settings that are in the book. We're going to go to 100. Okay. And if you can't get it close, you just hit 100. And then we're also going to have 3.0 and 10, right? 3.0 pixels. And we're going to reduce noise 10%. Okay, let's take a look at that. So then we are going to look at that radius. Yeah, so that radius value, it's the number of pixels that surround the edge pixel that affects the sharpening, right? So if an image starts out sharp, a radius value is 1. In the image, the finest detail is, if it's not sharp, you know, you use a higher radius value. And when you're happy, go ahead and click OK. Boop. And then there it is. You're going to hit File, Save. And then you're going to close your project file and you're ready to print. So that is the correction. Now, if you want to be able to see what it looked like in the beginning, so here's all the steps you took, right? If you ever create an action, these are all the things that will show in your action that it'll do automatically. An action is something where it's almost like a preset. You can tell it to do something and it does it by going through all the steps, and you can make them yourself. But if we're going to look now, just so we can save it, we're going to put this little mark here. That's what we've done. So going backwards, we flattened, we enabled a layer mask, disabled, I was showing you layer visibility, went through our remove tool, and this is what you started with. And there's where you are. It's pretty cool. So I hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll get started on the next one.